Welcome to Listenwise News Bites, where you can hear stories from the news that are specially selected for young listeners. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov, a public radio reporter and the founder of Listenwise, an award-winning online listening resource used by teachers. We have a curated collection of more than 2,000 podcasts from sources such as NPR and other producers of high-quality audio storytelling. In this episode, graduating in a pandemic means no pomp and circumstance. Also, find out how dogs are being trained to use their incredible sense of smell to help fight the coronavirus. And are you missing baseball like I am? In weird news, you'll learn that something not human has taken your place in the stands. First, we hear from seniors who are missing the traditions around their high school graduation.
This is KERA News. I'm Bill Ziebel. Nearly 9,000 Dallas School District students will graduate this month, though virtually none of them will celebrate as they expected. The planned pomp and circumstance has been sacrificed to COVID-19, which is forcing graduation to go online. We talked to some seniors about missing the once-in-a-lifetime in-person celebration. High school seniors at different Dallas ISD schools, Angelina Garcia and Zoe Powers, say it hasn't quite sunk in that they'll miss the traditional graduation.
Not really. It's still hard to believe. I'm still trying to adjust to the thought of it.
Graduation, prom, like end-of-year traditions is basically what was keeping me trying at school. Because otherwise it was just like, why am I even going? Why am I showing up?
Angelina is first violin with the orchestra at Bryan Adams High School. While musicians always play for graduation, this was her year to get the diploma.
Graduation, it's always meant a lot to me. My first time playing as concertmaster of our top orchestra was actually at graduation, my freshman year. I was looking forward to playing all 4 years and knowing that I'll never get to play with my orchestra for the last time and say bye to them. It's just sad.
Zoe goes to Woodrow Wilson High School. She and her fellow seniors keep holding out hope for a rescheduled in-person graduation.
Everybody's really upset. Like, most of my friends I've talked to were, like, especially with just, like, them not even trying to push it back, like, a couple months or anything, just, like, straight up saying it's going to be online. We're all super upset about it.
Dallas Superintendent Michael Hinojosa figured as much when he announced last week the district's graduation would be virtual. He called it the hardest decision he's had to make. He did consider pushing graduation back.
You know, if Plano has to try to have a delayed graduation, they have 3 or 4 high schools they got to worry about. We have 37 high schools. We have almost 9,000 students.
Hinojosa, in the state's second largest district, said that was too much. So did Fort Worth ISD initially, until the superintendent heard from students by Zoom. Now, the Fort Worth district will hold a virtual graduation June 20th, followed by a voluntary in-person graduation later that month. Arlington ISD's superintendent, Marcelo Cavazos, met with some district seniors for their preference, and he asked them to keep safety in mind.
The very last thing that they wanted was a virtual graduation. They wanted an in-person, traditional, intimate, as best as possible graduation, even if it meant pushing the graduation dates to July. And that's what we have planned.
Cavazos acknowledges, though, those plans may change. Other districts, however, like Tyler and Allen, will hold in-person graduations on schedule. Still, they'll follow state safety and distance guidelines and will severely limit the number of those who can watch. Trying to look on the bright side in Dallas is Kristen DeRocha, mom of Zoe Powers. She's familiar with frustrated seniors because she teaches high school in Dallas ISD.
Children all across the world are going through this. So they have sort of a shared experience. They're almost going to be like war buddies.
Jean Culpepper, another Woodrow Wilson senior, wishes this class didn't have to share that experience. She says the virtual ceremony takes something precious from these teens.
I feel for them because a lot of the kids from my class, they just took part in everything. It's a kind of a rite of passage, I guess you could say.
Culpepper's turning 80 this September. She's a Woodrow Wilson graduate, class of 59.
Wildcat!
Fellow Wildcat Zoe and Angelina, the cougar, are doing their best to embrace Culpepper's pizzazz as they both prepare for their online graduation, then college this fall. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
That story was from KERA in Dallas, Texas. I remember how much fun my high school graduation was. Whether you're graduating from kindergarten, 8th grade, or high school, how important is it to you to graduate in person? Next, a story about dogs. They have 300 million smell receptors in their noses, so it makes sense that they're being trained to smell if someone has COVID-19.
So coronavirus tests are still hard to come by in most states, but help might be a sniff away.
Good girl.
Awesome. That sniffing was Moxie. She's a Labrador retriever, and she's being trained to smell for COVID-19.
Diabetes, malaria, cancer, lots of different diseases have different odors.
Cynthia Otto is leading a study at the University of Pennsylvania to see if dogs can detect the virus in humans.
We have 8 dogs that are in training. All of the dogs are just now learning how to ignore odors that might be irrelevant. The next step is going to be determining, is there a specific odor associated with COVID-19?
And so if all goes according to plan here, a single dog could potentially screen hundreds of people every hour.
Would it be at the airport or at the train station, or would it be at a business that we're screening people before we allow them in, or a hospital?
Otto says it'll take several more months before the dogs will be ready to go, so don't expect a lab test from a Labrador anytime super soon. But there are other options out there on the horizon.
Yes, we've got the long process, but the short-term return on this, we have colleagues who've been developing electronic sensing devices or an electronic nose, so that could actually advance things quicker.
An electronic nose? That has everyone excited, and excitement means treats.
We are big believers in positive reinforcement, and so we anticipate a big dog treat for us if this actually works.
NPR produced that story, and it makes me think how helpful dogs are to humans. They can be guide dogs for blind people, help police detect bombs, and of course, are comforting pets. What other ways do you think dogs might be trained to help humans? And now it's time for some weird news. Some baseball teams are starting to play games again in stadiums filled with robots?
Good morning, I'm David Green. Springtime has familiar sounds, especially if you're at the ballpark. Crack of the bat, pop of the mitt, and starting tomorrow in the Chinese Professional Baseball League, the low hum of robots. That's the plan for one team anyway. Instead of playing to empty seats while fans are locked out, the Taiwan-based Rockets and Monkeys have installed robotic mannequins decked out in team colors. But what are we going to do with all those peanuts and Cracker Jacks?
Thanks to our partner NPR and to Scott Holmes for our theme music. That's it for the Listenwise News Bites podcast this week. For more stories from the news selected for young listeners, go to www.listenwise.com and sign up for free. And subscribe to this podcast for our weekly shows. Happy listening.